Got to stop the cigarettes. If people that don't smoke get lung cancer, you've got to put their detective hat on. They've breathed in mould. Breathing in mould can give lung cancer. Breathing in chemicals can give lung cancer. There is always a reason.
Hello, I'm Barbara O'Neill. Today we're focusing on something that's essential to your daily well-being, maintaining healthy lungs. As we age, our lungs can become more vulnerable to conditions like COPD, asthma, and other respiratory issues. In fact, studies show that lung function starts to decline around the age of 35, and this can lead to breathing difficulties later in life if we don't take the right steps to protect them. In this video, we'll discuss the key factors that affect lung health, the best foods and habits to support your lungs, and simple lifestyle changes you can make to breathe easier as you get older. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win.
What one girl said to me, she said, I'm off all my medication for my inflammatory arthritis. She said, I go to my specialist, I just sit there like a mummy. He does all the tests, they come back, he gives the next script, she says thank you, and she walks out. Because she said, if he knows that I've stopped my meds, if he knows what I'm doing, he will get so angry he won't see me. Now that is wrong. That is very wrong. So she's not lying. Can you see that? She just says nothing. So remember that you're your doctor. And if your doctor gets rude with you, you've got every right to say to him, you're not God. You don't know when I'm going to die. I've had enough of this. And just find a doctor who, if you want just the test, who's not going to give you that hard time. Because they have no right to do this. And you know, we the consumer are the ones that can change the system. In Revelation chapter 18, the chapter talks about Babylon going down. And then in verse 23, it says, for her merchants were the great men of the earth. Her merchants were the great men of the earth. Merchants, sales. The wealthiest company in the whole world is the pharmaceutical company. How do I know it's the pharmaceutical company? Let's have a look at a little bit more. For her merchants were the great men of the earth who deceived all nations by her sorceries. Now, if you go to the Greek and look at the interpretation of that word, it comes from the word pharmakia. Pharmacies. Do you have pharmacies? What do pharmacies sell? Drugs. They sell drugs. Drugs don't cure disease. They just change the form and location of the disease. And the people say, well, what'll I do? Say, just whatever works. You keep adjusting. You keep adjusting until it works for you. I think I told you I can't eat red capsicum. Why can't I read it? Oh, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just not going to eat it. Sometimes you don't know the whole story. I actually know a little bit more. I have an inherited genes to arthritis. If someone has arthritis, the nightshades can do that, but I have no problem with cayenne pepper. And isn't that from the capsicum family? Do you know who I'm going to listen to? This one. My body says yes for cayenne pepper, no for fresh capsicum. I'm listening. I'm listening. Okay, I'll follow you there. That's why you're the doctor. No one can tell you what your body can tell you. In the Framingham Heart Study, remember 30,000 people over 30 years? They found that by the age of 50, people had lost 40% lung capacity. Did you hear that? By the age of 50, 40% lung capacity had been lost. Why? Because they don't use their lungs anymore. Do you know, children, they don't worry if they get to this. Children don't worry, so why do we? Now, sitting right now, you're breathing in your lungs 500 mil, you're breathing out 500 mil waste. When you get to the state that I just illustrated to you, you're breathing in 3,600 mil of air. And you're breathing out 3,600 mil of waste. Got that? You see, your lungs are an organ of elimination.
As we dive deeper into lung health, it's essential to understand the importance of using our full lung capacity. When you don't fully utilize your lungs, stagnant air and toxins build up. Your lungs need to be exercised just like any other muscle in the body, and deep breathing is key to that. When you practice deep breathing, you allow your lungs to stretch and expand fully, which keeps the airways clear and promotes better oxygen exchange. Oxygen is essential for cellular function, and by increasing your oxygen intake, you're helping every cell in your body function optimally. One effective way to boost lung capacity is through intentional breathing exercises. For example, try diaphragmatic breathing, often called belly breathing. When you breathe in, allow your diaphragm to expand, pushing your belly outward. This technique fills your lungs more fully compared to shallow chest breathing. Try to hold your breath for a few seconds before exhaling slowly. Doing this regularly strengthens your lungs and can gradually increase their capacity. Another important aspect of lung health is posture. Many people slouch, which compresses the lungs and restricts airflow. Practicing good posture, especially while seated, helps open up the chest cavity, allowing for more complete and unrestricted breaths. Try sitting up straight with your shoulders back to maximize lung expansion. You can even combine this with deep breathing exercises for a double benefit. Physical exercise is also beneficial. Activities like swimming, running, or even brisk walking challenge your lungs to work harder and adapt. Regular aerobic exercise strengthens the heart and lungs, making them more efficient at delivering oxygen throughout the body. And remember, consistency is key. Even simple routines like a daily walk can make a big difference over time. Additionally, the air you breathe plays a major role in lung health. If possible, spend time in nature where air quality is generally better. Plants and trees filter the air naturally, providing cleaner oxygen. Avoid pollutants like smoke or harsh chemicals, which can damage lung tissue over time. In urban environments, try to avoid high-traffic areas when possible, or consider using an air purifier at home to maintain cleaner indoor air.
How are you going to feel if every single one of your 100 trillion cells have enough oxygen to get down to that pathway? You're going to be jumping out of your skin with energy. Is that right? There's a name for this. It's called chronic fatigue syndrome. Do you know chronic fatigue syndrome has one cause? You know what that cause is? Lack of oxygen. Now, there could be 100 causes for the lack of oxygen, but that's the cause of chronic fatigue syndrome. So let's have a look at what some of the causes for lack of oxygen could be. Oops, it's mucking up again. One of the causes could be dehydration. Dehydration? What's dehydration got to do with oxygen? Well, let's go. Remember Proverbs 14 verse 6? It says, "A scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy to him that understands." My aim is to give you an understanding. So in our lungs, so here's our lungs. Got two lungs. The trachea comes down and the trachea splits into two, and then it's like the branches of a tree. Maybe if I don't move. So it's like the branches of a tree, and let's magnify the end of the branch. The end of the branch has got looks like a little bunch of grapes, and they're called the alveoli. You've heard of the alveoli? Let's magnify an alveoli. Now, the alveoli has a little capillary network going over it. And that little capillary network basically looks like that. So it's over every little one. And I used to say we have about 5 million alveoli. And my husband is my biggest critic. And I'm very glad, because if I pass Michael, I'll pass anyone. And I was reading a study done by some doctors, and they found that every cigarette smoked kills an alveoli. And when I said that, I saw my husband quickly get paper and pen, and he said to me later, impossible. He said, impossible. If an alveoli basically explodes with every cigarette smoke, he said it's impossible if we've only got, say, 5 million. So I went back to the drawing boards and I went to Gray's Anatomy, 300 million. We have 300 million alveoli. Isn't that incredible? Now, inside every alveoli is a minuscule droplet of water. Now, because of the surface tension of water, have you ever looked at a creek or a lake and you see some little creatures walking on top of the water? Do you know why they're walking on top of the water? Because of surface tension of water. Now, I know I trained as a hairdresser when I first left school, and we learnt about this, because when you put shampoo in your hair, you break the surface tension, and that's how you wash your hair. So if you were to squirt shampoo or dish detergent into water, the little creatures on top of the water would sink, because you've actually broken the surface tension. Now, because of the surface tension of water, every time we breathe out, that little alveoli collapses, and that allows all the carbon dioxide to come out. You see this little blood capillary network? When we breathe in, like this, we're putting oxygen in there, and what happens is there's like a dropping of the carbon dioxide and a picking up of the oxygen in that blood, and then we breathe out the carbon dioxide. It's an amazing process.
When we breathe in, oxygen enters our lungs, travelling through the trachea, bronchi and smaller airways until it reaches the alveoli. Here, oxygen diffuses across the thin walls of the alveoli and into the capillaries, where it binds to hemoglobin in our red blood cells. This binding is essential because hemoglobin transports oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. The heart then pumps this oxygen-rich blood to the tissues and organs, ensuring they have the oxygen needed to function properly. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a waste product from our cells, is transported back to the lungs through the bloodstream. Once the blood reaches the alveoli again, the carbon dioxide diffuses into the alveoli, allowing it to be expelled when we exhale. This exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide is called gas exchange, and it's a vital process to keep our body energized and healthy. However, when we experience a lack of oxygen, whether due to poor air quality, dehydration, or inadequate lung function, our cells can't function at their best. Dehydration, for example, thickens our blood, making it harder for the heart to pump oxygen to the cells efficiently. Additionally, if we're not drinking enough water, the small droplets within the alveoli may dry out, reducing the surface area for gas exchange. This can lead to symptoms of fatigue, sluggishness, and even cognitive fog, as the brain requires constant oxygen to operate effectively. Other factors can also hinder oxygen flow, such as stress, shallow breathing, and a sedentary lifestyle. When we're stressed, our body tends to go into fight or flight mode, which leads to rapid, shallow breaths. Shallow breathing doesn't allow the lungs to expand fully, which reduces the amount of oxygen we intake. Similarly, a sedentary lifestyle can contribute to reduced lung capacity over time. Regular movement and exercise promote deeper breathing, increasing oxygen intake, and supporting overall lung health.
So when I said the Framingham Heart Study showed that by the age of 50, most people had lost 40% lung capacity, how is that? Many people have become high chest breathers. Do you know what that means? They're only using the top half of their lungs. So what causes high chest breathing? Poor posture. So if you're standing like this, it's impossible to use your abdominal muscles with the breathing process. And you know, our body was designed to use those abdominal muscles with the breathing process. To be able to do that, we have to be standing up straight. We have to make sure our skirt or our pants, you should be able to put your fist in your skirt or your pants. So restriction here prohibits your body using your abdominal muscles with the breathing process. And that's why it's so important to do exercises every day that strengthen your abdominal muscles. You see, we have a muscle called transverse abdominis. It starts at your spine, it connects with your hip and your rib, goes to your other hip and rib and comes back to your spine. So transverse abdominis, when it's strong, these muscles are strong. Can you see, because they're connected to the spine, they cause you to stand upright? One lady said, my abdominal muscles are long gone. I said, well, if they were, you'd be standing like this. Because it's your abdominal muscles that cause you to stand upright. So exercises like Pilates type exercises, you're familiar with Pilates? The whole Pilates is strengthening the core. And the strength of the human body can be determined by the strength of the core. Now, we have an amazing body, and where we lift from has the largest bone in the body. Where's that, students? What's the largest bone in the body? It's your femur. And the largest muscle mass in the body are your quads. Did you know that's where we should lift and bend from? And if you lift or bend like that, all the weight goes here. But if you lift and bend like this, with the back straight, all the weight goes on your thighs. Many people have bad backs because they bend like that. When I was in the Bronx, there was this 70-year-old guy who was weeding. Are there any weeds in the Bronx? Well, there was about 2 inches around the telegraph pole between that and the cement. And I was watching him weed, and he was weeding like this. And his back was totally straight. He was weeding right down like this. I thought, look at that straight back. And when I was in Africa, I saw this quite large lady, easily late 60s, and she's got a broom, and you know they're short brooms, and she's sweeping, and her back is totally straight. When you go back to your room, bend, and look at what your back does. It must be straight. That back must not bend. Now, what stops us going down is usually our hamstrings. So you can stretch out your hamstrings. Do it every day. Go down a little bit further, but keep that back straight. And when you lift, I think we all know that, don't we? Now, this is how I'm about to demonstrate to you how an 18-month to 3-year-old picks up a ball. I'll take the microphone away. They go like this. Can you see that? The knees are wide right, and they bend right down. They lift here. They lift here. You watch how children sit. You watch how they breathe. They breathe with their abdominal muscles. Watch how they run. They run on their toes. Unfortunately, sometimes by about the age of 10, they're not, because of slouching. And when you slouch, you weaken your back. And all this affects how much oxygen we're getting, because to be able to breathe with our abdominal muscles, we need to stand firm.
When we stand firm, we allow our lungs to expand fully, maximizing the oxygen intake that supports every cell in our body. Proper breathing goes beyond just getting air into our lungs. It directly influences our energy levels, cognitive clarity, and even emotional stability. Every time we breathe deeply using our abdominal muscles, we send more oxygen to the brain, which enhances focus and reduces stress. Think about the way we sit and work for hours on end, hunched over desks, glued to screens. This position shortens our chest and shoulder muscles and weakens our core. Over time, this hunched posture becomes our body's default, making it harder to break out of shallow, high chest breathing. This is why building core strength and maintaining flexibility through exercises like stretching and Pilates is essential, not just for fitness, but for optimal breathing as well. One simple way to practice better breathing is to focus on belly breathing. Sit or lie down, place one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen, and breathe in slowly. Feel your abdomen expand as you inhale, filling up with air, and deflate as you exhale. Try doing this a few minutes each day to train your body to use the diaphragm fully. Another important factor is maintaining flexibility in the upper body and avoiding clothing that restricts movement around the waist and ribs. A tight belt or waistband can inhibit abdominal expansion and prevent your lungs from filling fully. When you stand up straight, allowing the ribcage to open and the core to stay engaged, you create a strong support structure that encourages natural full-body breathing. Besides the physical aspect, proper breathing can have an incredible impact on mental well-being. Breathing deeply and slowly activates the parasympathetic nervous system, helping us relax and reducing anxiety. This is the science behind deep breathing exercises in yoga and meditation practices. They ground us in the present moment and help release tension. Children naturally breathe this way, but as we grow older, we lose these habits due to our lifestyles. The key is to consciously reconnect with these natural patterns. By maintaining good posture, strengthening the core, and practicing mindful breathing, we can protect our lung capacity and support our overall health. This focus on breathing isn't just about surviving but thriving, helping us live with more vitality, awareness and resilience, no matter our age.
You just need to be mindful of what we all should do when we get up in the morning is take the bedclothes back and let the bed have an air, because we lose moisture in the night. That's why you have to be careful of your bed, that there's no mold in your pillows. And if you have a night where you perspire a lot, that goes into your bedding. So it's very important to make sure there's fans on, or if the air conditioning's working well, that can take moisture out of the air. I noticed this morning when I woke up, there was no moisture at all in my shower from my shower last night. I thought, oh, this is good because it's taking the moisture out of the air. When I was in Bermuda, you see, it's only a mile wide and it's 21 miles long. And everything's moist. Everything's damp in Bermuda. So they would have to use their air conditioners and their fans. They'd have to be on the whole time to try and dry things out. But they're just things to keep an eye on. When the sun shines out, that's the beauty. You have a lot of sunshine. You can throw your bedding out onto the sun. You can peg up your clothes, your pillows, let them have a good sun, because the sun is a powerful detoxer and cleanser. Let it go very, very deep. So that's what must be addressed, is chemicals, mold, your bedding. If you wake up tired every morning, what you've got to check is, how late did you eat? Have you got fresh air in that bedroom? Assess your pillows underneath your bed. That's why at our health retreat we have no carpet, because carpet is something that can harbour dampness, and when dampness gets in carpet, what have you got then? You've got mould in carpet. So ideally have your wood floors, your tile floors. I'm sure in this hot climate most people do have. They're so easy to keep clean. Are there any questions as we finish our lung lecture? One thing to remember, if someone has asthma and they stop wheat, it can take at least 2 months to see a full effect of that. My challenge is, now I'm not saying today or tomorrow or next week, but when your house cupboard is well stocked, then take up the 2-month challenge. And don't eat wheat for 2 months and just see what your body does. It's a bit hard to do it now. There's some nice little rotis for breakfast which were made out of wheat, and there are some bread rolls there. That's why I say don't do it now, wait until you're well stocked. We need to sit and eat in comfort here, not being, oops, she's eating wheat. Yeah?
Oh, the sanitarium wheat bix.
Sanitarium wheat bix, yes, it's full of wheat. But in Australia, because they recognise the demand for gluten-free now and how many people are gluten intolerant, Sanitarium make gluten-free wheat bix. Now in Australia, sorghum has always been grown, it's a grain, for cow food. They discovered that sorghum is a grain that's gluten-free, so they're making a gluten-free wheat bix out of sorghum. Have you heard of sorghum? I know in Australia you can even buy sorghum flour. Sorghum. It's another type of grain. In India, they called sorghum great millet.
Sorghum is truly a versatile grain and can be an excellent alternative for those avoiding gluten. In many cultures, it's been used for centuries, not just as a staple for livestock, but as a nutritious food for people too. Sorghum flour, for instance, is used in various recipes to create gluten-free bread, pancakes, and even desserts. It's packed with fibre, antioxidants, and essential nutrients, making it an excellent choice for overall health. Switching to gluten-free options like sorghum, however, can require some adjustment in the kitchen. It has a slightly different texture than wheat and behaves differently in baking, so some experimentation is needed to find the right balance. But as more people explore gluten-free diets, recipes and resources are becoming more widely available, making it easier to incorporate these alternatives. If you're curious about trying sorghum, it's a good idea to start with small substitutions. Replace a portion of wheat flour in your favourite recipes with sorghum flour and gradually increase it as you get comfortable. You might be surprised by how well it works in dishes you already enjoy. Additionally, avoiding gluten, even temporarily, can give you a chance to discover other nutritious grains like quinoa, millet, and buckwheat. Each of these grains offers unique benefits and can help add variety to your diet. By exploring these options, you might find that gluten-free living opens up a whole new world of flavours and textures, promoting both digestive health and culinary creativity. I hope you found today's tips on maintaining healthy lungs helpful. Remember, small changes can make a big difference in your overall health. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more practical health advice. Take care of your lungs, and I'll see you in the next video.